If the last government shutdown scare you, you're not alone. Now everyone is wondering, what happens if this happens again? But here's what no one tells you. In GovTech, your job security depends on what kind of tech job you have, not just where you work. So today, I'm breaking down who actually gets hit, who takes paid, and what the next shutdown means for IT, cybersecurity, and for you. Hey, I'm JR, an IT professional in the government sector for over 16 years. I've been through shutdowns before, so let me give you the real inside look on how this actually affects GovTech workers. Okay, this past October, the US government went through the longest shutdown in history, forcing millions of federal employees into furlough, meaning they were legally suspended from work overnight. But get this, some of them had to keep working without getting paid. Now, shutdowns, they sound complicated, but the reason behind the most recent one was actually pretty simple. Congress couldn't agree in funding. When that happens, money stops flowing, agencies cannot operate at full capacity, and the government hits an automatic pause, even if millions of people still need service. Now, here's the part that most people actually forget. A shutdown is just not the government turning off, it's the government being forced into minimum operation mode until funding gets approved. That's why you saw programs frozen, payments delayed, federal workers furloughed, agencies scrambling, and new hirees suddenly just stuck waiting for guidance. It wasn't because systems stopped working. It was because legally, people weren't allowed to work without funding authority. This is important because it set the stage for everything that comes next. And this brings us to the question that everybody was asking during the shutdown. Who actually got hit and who didn't? So let me explain. The shutdown didn't hit everybody the same because the government on paper is closed. But in reality, the workforce is broken into very specific groups, and each one gets treated differently when funding stops. Let me explain. The first one is the federal employee non-essential. These were the people that felt it immediately. If your job was not classified as accepted and you were furloughed, meaning legally suspended from work until the funding returned. That meant no work, no pay, no timeline, no clarity. Entire offices shut down and projects were frozen instantly. Then you got the other federal employees, but the opposite group. Mission essential staff or accepted. Like I said, this is the opposite group, and these are people that had to keep working even though funding has stopped. This includes certain DoD civilians, healthcare operations, security and mission support, critical IT and cybersecurity roles like network operations, cyber, infrastructure, and pretty much systems that they cannot go offline. Think national security. Now, this team had to stay on even during the shutdown because threats don't stop. Networks, they must stay up. Medical system, they have to stay online. Military bases, they still gotta operate. Pretty much the core operations, they still gotta run. And the hard truth is that some of them had to show up to work without even knowing when they were gonna get paid. Now, the other category on this is military personnel and uniformed personnel, pretty much. The active duty mission, it doesn't stop. Shutdown or not, the work just continues. What really can change is when paycheck arrive, which can actually put a huge financial burden on military families and not knowing if you're gonna get paid. The next category on this is contractors. Now, this one might be a little bit confusing, so stay with me here. Contractors are funded differently through private companies with existing contracts. So while federal employees, some of them were furloughs, many contractors kept working, kept getting paid, kept projects moving. In some agencies, contractors became the only stable workforce during the shutdown. Now, this is why many people in GovTech, they just lean into the contracting option because the funding structure just give them more protection. But there is a big caveat with contractors, especially with the threat of another shutdown coming in January. I'll explain that here in a little bit. Now, before we keep going, if you like this type of video, if this is helping you work in IT, cyber, or you're just trying to break into tech, go ahead, hit a like, subscribe, and check some of the other videos in the channel. Thank you. So what does this all mean for the next government shutdown? And why could actually be worse? Let's get into it. So the shutdown ended, but not really. Congress only passed a temporary funding solution, a CR that expires in January, which means if they can't agree again, we right back where we started. But this time, things can hit harder because here's the reality that most people out of GovTech don't see. Agencies are already behind from this last shutdown. When agencies go into minimal operations mode, paperwork piles up, backlogs build, approvals stall, and modernization projects, they just fall behind. A second shutdown back to back would just compound everything. Now, remember those contractors that we said that they were safe? Well, some government contracts, they actually renew in January. Some of them might receive new funding, they might be in transition with new vendors, or even new task orders start in January. And guess what? A shutdown, it freezes all that. So even if contractors stay paid during the last shutdown, that doesn't mean on this one they will. New awards won't go out, renewals won't be signed, start dates, they're gonna get pushed, and extensions, they might get delayed. In other words, not fired, not laid off, just parked, waiting for the government to just turn the lights back on. Now, some of the other issues in the last shutdown, they just come back right up. Government hiring just slows down again. Contract company, they just hesitate to get on board. Clearance transfers, they get delayed. Background checks, they get delayed. Pretty much everything just gets delayed. So if you're a new hiree trying to get into cyber, government tech, maybe you're changing agencies, you're starting a new role, January can actually become the worst possible time to make a transition. Now, after hearing all this, it might sound like GovTech is in trouble. But here's the truth. GovTech is actually one of the most stable places to build a career in tech in this coming year. Now, I know that sounds strange, especially after we talk about everything, but stay with me here. Because once you understand what I'm about to tell you, you start seeing something that most people completely overlook. In fact, I already hinted earlier. You remember those groups that they were unaffected at all? That's exactly where you want to aim. Now let me break it down. Those mission essential tech jobs are still the safest in this country. Cybersecurity, network operations, infrastructure, systems that they can't simply just go offline. Shutdown or not, these roles, they keep working because they legally are required to. And check this out, the demand for cyber in the federal space is only going up this coming year. So if you're already in one of those roles, you're sitting in one of the most protected seats in GovTech. Now, contracting is actually still strong if you choose the right companies. If there's something that the last shutdown clearly showed, is that good primes that actually protect their people. Companies with multiple contract vehicles, multi-years IDIQs, and diversified portfolios, those are the ones that stay stable. Again, think national security. Shutdowns only freeze new award, they don't stop existing multi-year work. So if you pick the right contracting company, you're insulated from most of the chaos. And one more thing, remember, shutdowns, they don't last forever. Now, gotta be honest with you, this next year might be one of the best years to be in GovTech. Let me tell you, the cyber talent gap is massive. Agencies are struggling to fill roles. Government modernization mandates are accelerating. Healthcare and DoD systems, they still need to upgrade. Some remote jobs and hybrid jobs are actually opening up, and contractors are actually needed more than ever. The demand is not shrinking, it's actually growing. Now, I've done a couple videos breaking down GovTech and showing some of the careers and opportunities that there are out there. I'll link in the screen and the comments below so you guys can go check them out. Now listen, I understand shutdowns, they are frustrating, but they are actually predictable. Funding cycles are predictable, which agencies stay funded are predictable. So if you learn how the system works, you can build an incredible, stable tech career in GovTech, shutdown or not. Now, if you're new here and you're thinking of starting in tech, go check out this playlist right here. And don't forget to comment below if this helped you and subscribe. See you in the next one. JR out.